Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
Now, Russia will place temporary restrictions on imports of all agricultural products from Sri Lanka, including tea, from December 18th.
The Russian agricultural safety watchdog had taken the decision after it found an insect in the packaging of one consignment of tea from Sri Lanka. According to Reuters, tea from Sri Lanka accounts for 23% of Russia's tea market. Sri Lanka's main tea exports are to Russia, with a revenue of 19 billion rupees generated during the past 9 months from exporting 25 million kilograms of tea. What is most significant of Sri Lankan tea exports to Russia is that the Russian Federation has imposed a maximum price of 783 rupees per kilogram of Sri Lankan tea. Data from the Sri Lanka Tea Board records Iraq, Turkey, Iran, United Arab Emirates, Libya, Azerbaijan, Syria, Chile and Japan as the other top buyers of Sri Lankan tea.
We generated a greater revenue in 2017 compared to 2016 through our tea exports to the Russian market. Russia was on the top of our export list. However, at present, Turkey is on top, followed by Russia. There is a high demand in Russia because the Russians flavor Ceylon tea. We had a setback in the past because of the fall of the Russian economy. Our exports dropped in 2015 and 2016. However, as our prices are anyway high, our revenue for this year is relatively high compared to last year.
According to Reuters, the Russian agricultural safety watchdog Rosokoznadzor had taken the decision to impose restrictions after it found an insect known as copra beetle in the consignment. The insect has been discovered in consignments of other agricultural products imported to Russia from other countries. Imports resumed after a temporary ban on those products from the country of origin. The United States of America has imposed restrictions on commercial and non-commercial shipments of rice into the US from countries where the copra beetle is prevalent.
The copra beetle is also called cabinet beetle. Infestations are difficult to control as it has preference for dry conditions and low moisture food. There has been instances when this insect was found in tea samples in recent years. Such incidents are reported when tea is not packed properly and when tea is held in storage with low moisture food. This leads the way for an infestation. However, 6 years we did not have any such reports.
A statement from the Ministry of Plantation Industries says the detection of a single specimen of an agricultural pest was the reason for Russia to impose the restrictions. The statement says the ministry is of the view the specimen discovered in the packaging material may have remained in the shipping container concerned following the use of the container for the transport of grain on a previous occasion. The ministry hopes it can solve the matter immediately and says Minister Navin Dissanayake will visit Russia as soon as possible to work with Russian counterparts to resolve the matter. The Russian representative of the Sri Lanka Tea Board has held discussions with the Russian agricultural watchdog on this matter. The Sri Lanka Tea Board says the progress made in the investigations will be known thereafter. The Russian Association of Tea and Coffee Producers are holding discussions with the Russian government body over the possibility to introduce a special regime and special control over the tea imports from Sri Lanka instead of imposing a ban. Today is International Tea Day, and as you witness, Russia is now imposing restrictions on Sri Lankan agricultural products, especially when it comes to tea. One tiny insect, the size of around 3 millimeters, has caused this situation where the Russian Safety Regulatory Authority, when it comes to agricultural products, has imposed its restriction. Now, the ministry here in Sri Lanka says one single insect found inside the cargo container, which may have been used to carry grain before, has caused this situation. Now, Russia's main produce is wheat, and when an invasive insect comes into their country and affects their cultivations, it would have an adverse effect on their entire economy. In addition, Sri Lanka's tea industry mainly depends on glyphosate, which is used as a weedicide. Now, a decision to ban glyphosate was taken some time ago, and it was banned by the government. The sale and the use was banned after there were claims it was the main cause for chronic kidney disease. Yet the scientific causes for this is to be investigated. Now the minister has insisted the use of glyphosate and claims that without glyphosate, the tea industry in Sri Lanka is facing a very dark future. A study has shown that the water that flows in these areas where kidney disease is located comes from upstream, and that gets filtered along the way when it reaches the people. However, right now in those areas, it is mainly concrete structures that carry the water to the respective areas. Hundreds of thousands of people in Sri Lanka, mainly in the Central Hills, depend on the tea industry. And if the tea industry does not have a solution, and if situations like where countries are imposing restrictions on Sri Lankan tea arises, the tea industry in Sri Lanka will have a very dark future. Now we at Newsfirst spoke to Ramaz Chanturiyai, the Director General of the Russian Association of Tea and Coffee Producers, and asked him how this would impact the Sri Lankan and Russian tea markets. This is what he had to say.
You know that the problem is, of course, quite serious for us because Sri Lanka is one of the biggest tea suppliers to our country. It's approximate the share which Sri Lanka has in the last 2 years is around 23-25%. It is huge amount. It's around 40,000 tons of tea, good quality tea. And if the situation will, let's say, not be solved in coming months, I think we will have a big problem in Russia and also in, of course, in Sri Lanka and also in the world market, because that kind of tea and such a big amount is not possible to buy at one moment. It's really a big problem for everyone. So I think that we should now do our best. From our side, we will have some plan to do some things to let's say to make this problem less serious. But also Sri Lanka have to do everything to reduce this negative things from their side.